Hello and welcome to Millennium News Hour. I am Tanziba Nawreen. In today's bulletin, we will present top and trending news from across the nation and the world. Let's begin with the headlines of the day. Jill Biden in UK for King Charles' coronation, visits number 10. White House tells tech CEOs they have moral duty on AI. Wearing red, Indigenous families honor missing relatives. FDA weighing first over-the-counter birth control pill. Biden taps WHO aide Neera Tanden as domestic policy advisor. US says it will not normalize relations with Syria's Assad. Random shooting leaves 12-year-old Florida boy dead at a store. Officials say man killed 3, then self in rural Georgia town. NC lawmakers pass 12-week abortion ban, governor vows veto. COVID no longer a global health emergency, WHO says. King Charles III surprises crowd outside Buckingham Palace. Strong earthquake hits Japan, killing 1, injuring 13. More than 100 killed in Congo flooding. Messi apologizes to PSG for unapproved Saudi Arabia trip. Nadal to miss Italian Open as well due to hip injury. And Matt Harvey, the Mets' Dark Knight, retires at 34. You were listening to Headlines, now news in detail. Jill Biden has celebrated the athletic great of wounded service members with Prince Harry, discussed the value of early childhood education with Princess Kate, and sipped tea poured by Queen Elizabeth II. Now the First Lady is back in London for another royal engagement. President Joe Biden has dispatched his wife to represent the United States at Saturday's coronation of King Charles III, the late Queen's eldest son. No American president has ever attended a British coronation. While in London, she is engaging in a bit of soft diplomacy before the big event. Her first stop in Friday's drizzle was a familiar place, number 10 Downing Street, for her first meeting with Akshata Murthy, the wife of Prime Minister Rishi Sunak. Murthy greeted Biden with an embrace and a kiss on each cheek. "Welcome, welcome," she said, before turning to shake hands with Finnegan Biden, one of the First Lady's granddaughters. Afterward, Jill Biden and Murthy met at the Downing Street residence with military veterans and their families participating in a health and wellness program. Tech executives in the United States have been told they have a moral duty to ensure artificial intelligence does not harm society during a meeting at the White House. The CEOs of Google, Microsoft, OpenAI, and Anthropic attended the 2-hour meeting about the development and regulation of AI on Thursday at the invitation of US Vice President Kamala Harris. US President Joe Biden, who briefly attended the meeting, told the CEOs that the work they were carrying out had enormous potential and enormous danger. "I know you understand that," Biden said, according to a video posted later by the White House. "And I hope you can educate us as to what you think is most needed to protect society as well as to the advancement." Harris said in a statement after the meeting that tech companies must comply with existing laws to protect the American people and ensure the safety and security of their products. The meeting featured a frank and constructive discussion on the need for tech firms to be more transparent with the government about their AI technology, as well as the need to ensure the safety of such products and protect them from malicious attacks, the White House said. The meeting came as the Biden administration announced a $140 million investment in 7 new AI research institutes, the establishment of an independent committee to carry out public assessments of existing AI systems, and plans for guidelines on the use of AI by the federal government. Native Americans whose relatives have gone missing or been killed or raped on Friday, a color synonymous with raising awareness about the disproportionate number of Indigenous people who have been victims of violence. Missing and Murdered Indigenous Peoples Awareness Day is held on May 5, the birthday of Hannah Harris, who was only 21 when she was slain on the Northern Cheyenne Indian Reservation in Montana. Countless more Indigenous people have gone missing since her body was found nearly a decade ago. Advocates describe it as a silent crisis rooted in colonization, forced removal, and government policies that led to the stamping out of culture and identity as entire communities were marginalized. This weekend's marches, symposiums, prayer gatherings, art installations, and ceremonies are meant to pressure policymakers in the US and Canada to ensure equity when investigating such cases. The red dresses, they say, are used to call home the spirits of missing and slain Indigenous victims. US health regulators are weighing the first ever request to make a birth control pill available without a prescription. Advisors to the Food and Drug Administration meet next week to review drug maker Perrigo's application to sell a decades-old pill over the counter. The two-day public meeting is one of the last steps before an FDA decision. If the FDA grants the company's request, Opil would become the first contraceptive pill to be moved out from behind the pharmacy counter onto store shelves or online. In an initial review posted Friday, the FDA raised several concerns about studies of Opil, citing problems with the reliability of some of the company's data and raising questions about whether women with certain other medical conditions would correctly opt out of taking it. It also noted signs that study participants had trouble understanding the labeling instructions. The agency will ask the panel to consider whether younger teenagers will be able to understand and follow the instructions. At the end of the meeting, the FDA panel will vote on whether the benefits of making the pill more widely available outweigh the potential risks. The panel vote is not binding, and the FDA is expected to make its final decision this summer. President Joe Biden announced Friday that he has chosen Neera Tanden, a veteran Washington insider who currently serves as White House Staff Secretary and Senior Advisor, to be his new domestic policy advisor. Tanden will be the first Asian American to lead any of the 3 major White House policy operations, he said. She will succeed Susan Rice, a longtime foreign policy expert who surprised Washington by shifting to a domestic policy focus when she joined Biden's White House. In her current role, Tanden has overseen decision-making involving his domestic, economic, and national security teams. He cited her 25 years of experience in public policy, her past work for Presidents Bill Clinton and Barack Obama, and her tenure running the liberal-leaning Center for American Progress, one of the country's largest think tanks, for nearly a decade. She also helped write the Obama-era Affordable Care Act healthcare law. The United States will not normalize relations with the government of Syrian President Bashar al-Assad, the State Department has said, as many of Washington's Arab allies re-establish ties with Damascus. The State Department said late on Thursday that top U.S. diplomat Antony Blinken discussed a recent meeting in Amman between Syria and its Arab neighbors during a phone call with his Jordanian counterpart Ayman Safadi. Secretary Blinken made clear that the United States will not normalize relations with the Assad regime and does not support others normalizing until there is authentic UN-facilitated political progress in line with UN Security Council Resolution 2254, the department said. The 2015 resolution calls for free and fair elections in Syria under UN supervision. The foreign ministers of Syria, Egypt, Iraq, Saudi Arabia, and Jordan met for talks in the Jordanian capital on Monday, amid a push to bring al-Assad's government back into the Arab fold. A man fatally shot a 12-year-old boy and wounded another man before turning the gun on himself inside a South Florida gas station, sheriff's officials said Friday. Broward Sheriff's deputies responded to reports of gunfire at a 7-Eleven in Dania Beach just after 11 p.m. Thursday, according to a news release. The boy and the shooter both died at the scene, investigators said. A third person was taken to a hospital for treatment of gunshot wounds, the release said. A condition report was not immediately available. Investigators said witnesses told them the man fired shots at a man in a vehicle that was parked outside the gas station. He then went inside the station and shot the boy, and then himself, the release said. The names of the suspected shooter and the victims have not been released. An investigation is continuing and police are asking anyone with information to come forward. Dania Beach is just south of Fort Lauderdale on Florida's Atlantic coast. A man recorded by a security camera fatally shooting his manager Thursday at a fast food restaurant in rural South Georgia is also suspected of killing his mother and grandmother at their nearby homes before taking his own life, authorities said. Security video from a McDonald's in Moultrie showed 26-year-old Kentavious White shoot the store manager after getting her to come to the door Thursday morning, the Georgia Bureau of Investigation said. The footage then showed White step inside the restaurant and shoot himself. Police found the manager, identified as 41-year-old Amia Smith, and White both dead when they arrived, the GBI said in a news release Thursday evening. They also found two women related to White had been shot at neighboring homes less than 2 miles away. Both women died, one after being taken to a hospital, the GBI said. All three of the slain women appeared to have been shot multiple times, Colquitt County Coroner C. Verlin Brooke told the Associated Press. North Carolina lawmakers on Thursday approved and sent to the governor a ban on nearly all abortions after 12 weeks of pregnancy, down from the current 20 weeks, in response to last year's overturning of Roe v. Wade at the U.S. Supreme Court. The ban is one of the least onerous of a slew of bills Republican-led assemblies have pushed through in recent months since the High Court stripped away constitutional protections for abortion. Other states have banned the procedure almost completely or throughout pregnancy. Nonetheless, the 29-20 party line vote by the Senate was met with loud cries of abortion rights now from about 100 observers who had crowded into the gallery to watch the debate. Police quickly cleared the area, but protesters could still be heard shouting "shame" from outside the closed doors. The House passed the measure Wednesday night on a similar party line vote. Now it's time for global updates. COVID-19 no longer qualifies as a global health emergency, the World Health Organization says. The announcement on Friday came more than 3 years after the United Nations Health Agency declared its highest level of alert over the devastating virus, which triggered lockdowns, upended economies, and killed millions of people worldwide. Yesterday, the emergency committee met for the 15th time and recommended to me that I declare an end to the public health emergency of international concern, WHO Director General Tedros said. I have accepted that advice. It's therefore with great hope that I declare COVID-19 over as a global health emergency. The WHO said that even though the emergency phase was over, the pandemic declared in March 2020 has not come to an end, noting recent spikes in cases in Southeast Asia and the Middle East. The agency said thousands of people are still dying from the coronavirus every week. That does not mean COVID-19 is over as a global health threat, Tedros said, adding he would not hesitate to reconvene experts to reassess the situation should the coronavirus put our world in peril. Tedros also noted that there were likely at least 20 million COVID-19 deaths, far more than the officially reported 7 million. King Charles III surprised cheering fans who started gathering outside Buckingham Palace on Friday, a day ahead of his coronation, as final touches were made in preparation for an occasion that London hasn't celebrated in 70 years. People in the crowd screamed his name as Charles stepped from a chauffeur-driven Bentley wearing a blue suit. One person could be heard yelling, "God save the King," as the British monarch approached the throng lined up behind a barricade. Charles thanked the well-wishers for coming, shaking hands as he slowly moved along the line. Theresa Iredale, wearing a plastic crown, said she trembled when the king approached her after she screamed his name. "I saw his hand coming out to mine and I was like, I can't believe I'm shaking the king's hand," she said. Prince William, heir to the throne, and his wife Kate also greeted the public during the walkabout, talking to fans on the opposite side of the mall, posing for selfies and chit-chatting. The royals made the stop after a luncheon that followed the final rehearsal for Charles' Saturday morning coronation service at Westminster Abbey. Charles ascended the throne automatically when his mother, Queen Elizabeth, died last year. The religious ceremony of the coronation represents his formal crowning. A strong, shallow earthquake hit central Japan on Friday afternoon, killing at least one person and injuring 13 others, but no tsunami warning was issued. The magnitude 6.2 quake struck Ishikawa Prefecture on the west coast of Japan's main island of Honshu, the U.S. Geological Survey said. The Japan Meteorological Agency measured the quake at 6.5 and said it was centered at a depth of about 12 kilometers. One person was reported dead and at least 13 were injured in Suzu City at the northern tip of Noto Peninsula in Ishikawa Prefecture, a city official said. He said 6 homes were damaged and rain could trigger mudslides, causing further damage. He did not say how the person died, but the Fire and Disaster Management Agency reported that a person was found without vital signs after falling from a ladder. It said another person was injured when a cabinet fell on them, and 2 people were rescued from damaged buildings in the city. Rescue efforts were underway after flooding and landslides brought on by torrential overnight rains in eastern Congo's South Kivu province killed more than a dozen people, a local official said Friday. Delphine Birimbi, a community leader in Kalehe in South Kivu, said that there were 15 dead in his village and that more than 30 people are missing in the nearby localities of Bushushu and Nimukobi. He fears that the death toll will rise significantly as more bodies are recovered. 2 rivers broke their banks after the heavy rains which began on Thursday evening, and there have been multiple landslides with scores of homes destroyed, Birimbi said. Rescuers are working to find and save anyone who may be trapped under the rubble of their homes. In a statement published Friday, the provincial government of South Kivu offered its sympathies to the families affected and said it was sending a delegation to the scene. Heavy rains have brought misery to thousands in East Africa, with parts of Uganda and Kenya also seeing heavy rainfall. Flooding and landslides in Rwanda, which borders Congo, left 129 people dead earlier this week. Now it's time for business news. Today's New York stock close price is 15,380.87. The NYSE Composite is increased by 263.20 points or 1.74%. Tokyo stock close price is 29,157.95. The Nikkei 225 index is increased by 34.77 points or 0.12%. Shanghai stock close price is 3,334.5028. The Shanghai index is decreased by 15.96 points or 0.48%. Hong Kong stock close price is 20,049.31. The Hang Seng index is increased by 100.58 points or 0.50%. Bombay stock close price is 61,054.29. The Sensex index is decreased by 694.96 points or 1.13%. Let's have a look on today's sports stories. Lionel Messi apologized to Paris Saint-Germain and his teammates on Friday for going to Saudi Arabia on an unauthorized trip that resulted in his suspension. Messi posted a short video on Instagram to ask for forgiveness and chalk up the controversy to a scheduling misunderstanding. He missed practice on Monday while he was on a promotional trip to Saudi Arabia, and a day later, the French club announced it suspended the World Cup winner. Messi said he thought the team had Monday off. "Hello, I wanted to make this video about what is happening. First of all, ask for forgiveness from my teammates and the club. Honestly, I thought we were going to have an off day as it had been the case in the weeks prior. I had this trip to Saudi Arabia organized, which I had cancelled before, and this time I couldn't cancel. Again, ask for forgiveness from what I did, and I will be waiting for whatever the club decides. Hugs." Earlier on Friday, coach Christophe Galtier said the club and Messi will wait until the end of his suspension to discuss how he finishes the season. Messi is not expected to extend his contract, and there are only 5 games remaining. Rafael Nadal won't be able to play the Italian Open either, as he remains hampered by a nagging hip injury. "I'm sorry to announce that I won't be able to be in Rome," Nadal said in a Twitter post in Spanish on Friday. "You all know how much it hurts me to miss another one of the tournaments that has a place in my career as a professional and a person, as well as for the support my Italian fans show me." Nadal has won the Italian Open a record 10 times. The 22-time Grand Slam winner has been sidelined since January by a left hip flexure injury he picked up at the Australian Open. The issue had already kept him from playing at Indian Wells, Miami, Monte Carlo, Barcelona and Madrid. Nadal said even though he feels better, he is not ready to play. Matt Harvey announced Friday he is retiring from baseball after a 9-year pitching career highlighted by his time as the Mets' Dark Knight. Harvey, whose star faded amid injuries and a late career suspension for drug distribution, thanked fans for making a dream come true in his Instagram post announcing his retirement. Nicknamed the Dark Knight of Gotham, Harvey was selected 7th overall by the Mets in the 2010 amateur draft and made a heralded major league debut in 2012. He started the 2013 All-Star game at Citi Field, but a little more than a month later tore the ulnar collateral ligament in his pitching elbow and needed Tommy John surgery. He returned in 2015 and went 13-8, helping the Mets reach the World Series, where they lost to the Kansas City Royals. Let's have a look on today's weather forecast. Before finishing today's news, let's hear out the headlines again. Jill Biden in UK for King Charles' coronation, visits number 10. White House tells tech CEOs they have moral duty on AI. Wearing red, Indigenous families honor missing relatives. FDA weighing first over-the-counter birth control pill. Biden taps WH aide Neera Tanden as domestic policy advisor. US says it will not normalize relations with Syria's Assad. Random shooting leaves 12-year-old Florida boy dead at a store. Officials say man killed 3 themselves in rural Georgia town. NC lawmakers pass 12-week abortion ban, governor vows veto. COVID no longer a global health emergency, WHO says. King Charles III surprises crowd outside Buckingham Palace. Strong earthquake hits Japan, killing 1, injuring 13. More than 100 killed in Congo flooding. Messi apologizes to PSG for unapproved Saudi Arabia trip. Nadal to miss Italian Open as well due to hip injury. And Matt Harvey, the Mets' Dark Knight, retires at 34. That's all in today's news. Keep watching Millennium News 24 for latest update. Millennium TV US and Millennium News 24 network is transmitted and available to be watched free for all TVs such as Sony, Samsung, LG, Roku TV, Amazon TV and Apple TV. And also in all European countries and Australia, available with the Sky Network, Worldwide Jadoo TV, Radiant IPTV, Worldwide Jago BD Network and Horizon Satellite globally. Stay connected with us for all types of informative and entertainment programs. Thank you.